So it just doesn't go along with their narrative altogether. So of course they don't talk about it. If she's got such a freaking problem about it not being, isn't she a reporter, for Christ's sakes? I mean, well, the reporter said, well, what are we supposed to do? Is this a reporter who's whining about black people not being reported in the news? Well, dang it, lady, isn't that your job? Yeah, Christ.
I'd be remiss if we didn't try to squeeze this in before, just in case we have to lose Jake, because I know it's very, very important to deal with the appropriate age audience, make sure we're connecting. And Jake, I don't know if you watched our last episode. We're totally in tune with the people here. We are up to date with all the most important things of pop culture. We talked about Nicki Minaj. Now, I don't know if you know about the Nicki Minaj story. She had a great tweet about the vaccine and gave a very nice anecdotal story that we're not all quite sure is valid or not. But she's been put in timeout on Twitter. But I want to let you know, it's okay. Nicki did not go out without a fight. She had some things to say on her way out the door because Tucker Carlson liked what she had to say. And evidently, that is not the appropriate way to respond to things. So she says, right here, this was her first tweet. This is on her way out the door. Right. I can't speak to, agree with, even look at someone from a particular party. People aren't human anymore. If you're black and a Democrat tells you to shove marbles up your a-hole, you simply have to. If another party tells you to look out for that bus and you stand there and get hit, and then this is the response from the idiot. This is what you were talking about, Alex, the NPC. You know he's a white nationalist, right? Then she says, the black woman, racist Reid, lied on me and made people attack me. But I quote this man who did the opposite. Okay, F him. Yashua hoo. Happy now? Brain dead? No, Nicki. He's a racist and a white supremacist. These people are nuts. She goes, you know how many U.S. presidents were white supremacists? She goes, oh, please. Just stay on topic. Y'all can't do that. The topic is asking questions is okay. But let's make the topic Nicki talks to white racists so you can all sleep better tonight, dummies. I got to be honest. I may never listen to any of her music, but I'm a fan of behavior like this. Jake, what do you think about it?
Well, first I need you to run it through Google Translate so I can have half a clue to what she's even talking about.
I translated as best I could, son. She used all these abbreviations. I broke them up. I can speak Nicki Minaj now. I've had a whole week and a half of practice.
Maybe I'm too smooth-brained or something. I don't know. Good Lord.
Minaj is
well, whatever. We'll see. I'm not convinced. These people flip-flop week to week anyway.
Well, one person that is consistent, and I think it's only important to we do go full callback, right? Because we had last week, we had Nicki Minaj, but we had racist Reid. Very appropriate nickname, I felt. She's in the news again. There she is, making the headlines. This week, it's because she was talking about in her show the syndrome known as missing white woman syndrome. In other words, we care about this person. We don't care about all those missing black women. So did you know there was a missing white woman syndrome? You suffering from MWWS?
Look,
Alex,
no mistake.
have you heard of missing white woman syndrome?
Well, I haven't heard of this, though. But I will say this. There is no doubt in my mind that this woman is, without a doubt, a vehement racist. And that she is...
Yes.
She's not just racist, but it's like it's a weird kind of ideological racism, too, to where she'll like you if you're black as long as you're on her side. And she'll see you as an ally if you're white, as long as you're on her side, but then we'll chuck you to the weeds either way as soon as she can chuck you to the weeds. The problem is that if this story would have happened even with it didn't matter the color. It really was just a story. Sometimes these stories catch the media's eye, and that's all it is. But she has to make it about race because it's the only card she has, because other than that, she's ideologically bankrupt.
I actually watched the clip.
Oh, did you? Okay. What do you?
Oh yeah, and I threw up in my mouth a little bit. It's so backhanded because it started off kind of sweet, talking about like, oh, the family lost this girl. There's still an ongoing investigation. And then out of left field, it comes in and like, but we're not talking about the black women that ain't here. Well, it's because you don't. And there's plenty of stories, I'm sure, and it's unfortunate to say there's plenty of stories, right? But statistically speaking, right, a lot of these black female individuals that go missing are inherently because of other black individuals, and it goes directly against their narrative. So how could they report on that if because it's not a white person problem. It's not because it's not white people are abducting these black females or murdering these black females. Typically, it's another black individual on black crime, effectively, is what I'm trying to say. So it just doesn't go along with their narrative altogether. So of course they don't talk about it. If she's got such a freaking problem about it not being, isn't she a reporter, for Christ's sakes? I mean, well, the reporter said, well, what are we supposed to do? Is this a reporter who's whining about black people not being reported in the news? Well, dang it, lady, isn't that your job?
Yeah,
Christ.
What do you think, Bob? Is that her job?
Jay kind of stole my thunder.
Fogging my windows up, I'm so pissed.
Into that, right? Because when I watched the video, I was like, she would say like, yeah, I had friends send me these clips about these other people that were missing, but they're not getting any coverage. I'm thinking, well, lady, you have a 1 hour platform every night. You told us last week that you have 2 million Twitter followers. Why aren't you covering this? You have the platform for it. I never hear you covering all the people that were shot in Chicago. Do you know any of their names? No. She has the platform, and she's complaining about other people not using their platform for these people that aren't being spoken about. I mean, that's wrong, I think.
Well, I think there's a weird place, and this is the same thing with Hollywood. I think we're running so long on time. I don't want to backtrack to the Emmys. I'll do a little video on that myself. These people win these awards, and they get up there and they talk about, I was sometimes the only black person in the room, and it's still great to be Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I've never been asked about who should be hiring and casting for all this stuff that's been coming out of Hollywood for decades. So if they got a racist problem, I would say quit lecturing us about it. They got their own problem. There's this weird, again, this projection, right? They project this stuff onto us like we're guilty. It was the Harvey Weinstein stuff too, right? We're the problem. It's a societal problem. I'm like, what bubble are you people living in? None of us are like that. If Joy Reid, Jake, you hit it. Joy, if you have so many stories and so much you need to cover them. Alex, do your part, man. Start talking about this. This is a crisis out there. These missing white women syndrome is distracting us from the real crisis in our country.
The real thing that we should be talking about is the new Air Force or Star Force uniforms that the government made.
I guess that's a transition.
Hey, we're News Talk with Brandon and Bob. We're here to tell you about some of the facts so you don't have to waste your time watching CNN.
We don't want you wasting any time with CNN.
Or Fox or MSNBC or some of these other guys that are making a whole lot of money.
Et cetera, et cetera.
He's not paying.